Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at the ES futures today. It's really a pretty narrow range day today. This was our opening bar here in the ES futures, and you can see that we ended up putting in a high right there, and that high was 39.03, and then we triggered that as a reversal doji. You can see that was a reversal doji. The high was higher than the previous bar doji. Next bar triggered it to the downside, and the ES pushed down. But as is very, very, very often the case, ES did not stay below the 50 EMA. Again, we know, and say this over and over, but the 50 and the 200 are significant support and resistance zones. And so the ES pushed down, and then it stayed inside that channel for hours and hours. And you can see we kind of drifted back up, drifted sideways, tested the 50 again, came near it again. But then right in here, towards later in the afternoon, we started to get some bullish signs in the ES. We left this bottoming tail right here. The entire body of the bar was all buying. It was above the 5 and the 13, causing the 5 and 13 to cross to the upside. And so we were looking for potentially bullish setups. We said, if you were in the trading room, we said that the fast line needed to cross the slow line on momentum so that we would have positive momentum in order for this to go any higher. And that's what we ultimately ended up doing. And you can see we pushed up, we broke above the channel. 39.03 was our session high. By the close, ended up pushing as high as 39.09 and a quarter. We didn't actually trade that last little bit. My initial target was actually 35.05. But we had a pretty nice setup off the Renko chart that allowed us to take advantage of that. On the Renko chart, we were just same thing, just kind of chopping sideways throughout the afternoon. And our initial channel we drew in when we first came into the afternoon session was right here. We had a significant pivot high right there at 39.03. We had a significant pivot low down here at 38.87, and we started to pivot in between them. And when we were pivoting right in here, that's when we drew this line in. Well, then we continued sideways. We pivoted, put in another pivot, and another one here. And so now we were pivoting inside this pivot high and this pivot low. And you can see we were just pivoting inside there. We ended up getting the breakout right there, which was above 38.97 and a quarter. We pushed on up, and even though this was technically still our compression zone, we had room. Even if we ran up here to this resistance line and stopped, we still had room. I mean, that was from 38.97 and a half was our entry to 38.93. That's still the potential to make $250 to $300 per contract. And if we did continue, we still had that upside target at 39.05, and so that was giving us the potential for $400 to $450 per contract. And then we ended up continuing to push even higher than that on into the close. Now I went ahead and took profits at 39.05. That was the target, but that's okay. You know, it was very quiet. I mean, this whole choppy section right here that didn't go anywhere, that was spread out over pretty close to 3 hours of trading time. So, I mean, it was a pretty boring afternoon, but we were patient. You know, we didn't force any trades, because if you're trying to trade here in this chop, you were probably not doing very well and you were probably taking losses. But we were patient. We just waited for a good setup. Again, once we started to break out of this channel right here, we were getting some bullish signals on our 30-minute chart. So we had a higher time frame confirming what was happening on our Unireco chart. Our momentum was going bullish. You can see we made higher highs, higher lows on the breakout. So we had momentum confirming our breakout. And then we went ahead and pushed on up into target. So it paid to be patient. Again, a really choppy day in the afternoon, just not much in terms of opportunity. But again, we were patient, didn't get chopped up, took the breakout, confirmed it with the 30-minute chart, confirmed it with momentum, and were able to go up and make a little profit.